a few more examples on periodic trends. Let's take the example of rubidium plus 1 and chloride minus 1. We're going to ask relative size, which one is bigger and which one is smaller. So if we just look at the last video, we would guess that rubidium is smaller because it's got the positive charge, and chloride would be larger because it's got the negative charge, but that's actually not the answer, and let's see why. Rubidium has a plus 1 charge. Rubidium is... That's a great thing to get on the video. Rubidium has a plus 1 charge, so how do you get a plus 1 charge? Remember, electrons are negative. People still don't know that for some reason, somewhere. Electrons are negative. That's a very basic thing we need to have ingrained in our brains. Electrons are negative, so if rubidium becomes positive, it gets so by losing an electron, so instead of having 37, it has 36 electrons. So it is, this is actually a word, it's isoelectronic. Isoelectronic, so it's similar in electron structure to krypton. So rubidium plus 1 is isoelectronic to krypton, so it's like krypton electronically. Now let's look at chloride. Chloride has 17 electrons, but to get a negative 1 charge, it must have an extra. So chloride minus 1 is like argon. So if we compare these two things, we should understand that krypton is larger than argon because as you go down a group, they get bigger. And so for that reason, we would say that rubidium is larger than chloride, even though that it's not what we might have expected due to charges. The next example let's talk about is what if we compare down and to the right. So as you go down, they get bigger, but as you go to the right, they get smaller. And what you need to understand here is that as you go down, they jump quite a bit bigger. But as you go across, they only get marginally smaller. If you look at that last video, you'll see that. And so actually the up-down trend is more important than the left-right trend. So for these adjacent cells, the one that goes as you go down and to the right, the downtrend is what you want to look at. So the downtrend says that selenium is bigger than phosphorus, and so selenium is bigger than phosphorus. And we would only compare things that are close together like that. The last thing let's talk about is what about two things that are both positive. For example, chromium, let's do cobalt. Cobalt could have, I believe cobalt can be plus 2 or plus 3. So if you have cobalt plus 2 and cobalt plus 3, which one of those is larger? Well, at this point, we can just rely on a pretty simple argument. Cobalt has 27 electrons. Cobalt 2 has lost 2, so cobalt 2 has 25 electrons. Cobalt 3 has lost 3, so it has 24 electrons, so it should be fairly obvious that something with 24 electrons is smaller than something with 25 electrons. And so those are some of the more complicated, more advanced examples of problems involving atomic radius.